Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Gridiron Power Hour. I'm your host, Jocelyn Fitzgerald. Today with me is the owner of the NWFL, and one of the owners of the Lawrence Admirals is Sean Smith. Say hi to the folks, Sean.
How are you guys doing?
All right. Now, this is the first time getting in touch with you. And what, from an owner's point of view, what is the concept looking forward to the 2021 season?
The 2021 season. We're looking forward to having a good season. We're looking to kick off in April. I think the first weekend in April, play an 8-game schedule. We have a team in New Orleans. We have a team in Topeka, Kansas. You guys, and we're finalizing 2 more teams within that region of area we're in. And so we're looking about 4 to 6 teams our first year. And I don't want to grow the leagues too fast because that's what hurts some leagues. It hurts some teams. If you grow a league too fast, it can fall apart in front of you. So we want to take baby steps and to get things completed.
Okay. And with that being said, and you said one of the teams out of New Orleans, the New Orleans Hippies. Now,
yes,
as an owner of a team yourself, and this is from a standpoint, I want to get your point of view, because your team has played games before, if I understand correctly.
I used to have a team in 2010 and 11. We were called the Topeka Mudcats. We played in a league that was very disorganized run. So we have a few games, but for our first year with the Topeka Twisters is that we're rebuilding everything. We're actually starting from the ground up like a brand new team, and that's what we wanted to do, is to take a few years off and see what the direction of what we wanted to go with our sports franchises and come back stronger and better than ever. We were going to play the 2020 season independently, but with all the COVID stuff, it kind of hurt us.
Yeah.
And put us on a back burner.
Yeah, and it is not just this league that's hurting. Several other women's football leagues is hurting too. The WFA had to stop its season due to COVID.
I was talking to a few owners in another league, and they don't even know if they're going to even have a 21. They don't even know if they're going to even have a 21 season. And we have like 3 teams around us here in Topeka. And I know one league is like they're fully blown going into the 21 season to as they're going to play, and the other couple teams around us are really debating on what they're going to do because they've heard that they're not having a league. They're not going to have teams to play. If they do have a league, that's going to be spread across the United States, and they don't want to be spread across the United States because it's so far from travel and it's so far from for women's football to have a long travel, because some of these ladies that play, as you know, are parents.
Yeah.
And by them leaving their
little
kids behind, letting their husband take care of the kids, you don't know what's going to happen. So
yeah. And speaking from a parent's standpoint of view, I have a teenage daughter, and she's also my team's equipment manager.
I have two. I have two sons, and my brother lived with me, so I know it's tough leaving your kids behind, but it's if you're for the love of the game, they're gonna come out and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, my daughter is the equipment manager of my team, so she's gonna be with me 24/7. She's 17 years old and a high school senior. But no, but like I said, my daughter, I told my daughter her schoolwork will come first, in any and always is to me. We're parents first, then football players second. That's a mental mentality that any parent, any player, and owner should have as a parent.
Exactly.
Now, this is going to be a crazy question to ask me. How did you get your start in football?
I played. Actually, my start in football was back in 1998 when I was a freshman in high school. We had an indoor football team here in town. Mm-hmm. And I worked for them for 2 years, and I was the youngest tenure employee that the league, because the league took over the team the following year, and I stayed with the league. I was the youngest tenured employee through the league, and then that team disbanded. And then 2003, we got another indoor football team here in Topeka, and I worked with them for up till their last year was in 2013, and I actually played 6+ years of pro indoor football. I ran a couple teams, and now my women's team that I got, we're bringing back indoor football to Topeka, and we're also bringing a professional basketball team to Topeka. So my sports are kind of diverse, what I got started in, but my love of the game has always been football, and I know I could probably put brick by brick how to build a football team. So, and I won 6 championships with our indoor football team. I have another championship with another team I used to coach, and then I have a state championship ring with Silver Lake High School. So I'm quite enthused about having women's football back here in town.
Well, for me, the way it is, it's like a family thing. My older brother used to play Pop Warner in high school football all his life until his sophomore year in high school. Anything I learned about football, I learned from my older brother and my cousins. In my junior year in high school, I was playing Powder Puff. And one of my teachers was actually having to watch the game. And she told me I am a great defensive tackle. That was the glowing compliment I got from a teacher right there. A teacher who actually saw me do what I can do on that football field. And I was in, not only for, at that time, a woman my size. I'm a big girl. I'm impossible to stop. I'm even more impossible to bring down. My weight, even though coupled with my short height, it makes a lethal combination in most aspects. That even though I'm short, I can't jump high as many people, but I can block. I block and tackle, and I can pick you off just as easily.
And going back to our football team that we had here previously with the girls, we went to a very small town of St. Mary's, Kansas. We did a fundraiser for their high school to raise money to get sports turf to rebuild their sports facility and all that good stuff. And we went in the week before to advertise. We got pre-sale tickets good. We had good gate tickets. We had our largest crowd was at St. Mary's. We had over 300 people watching a women's football game. And every guy who was in the stand, every girl who was in the stand from the school was just shocked how well received they played and how well they mastered the game of football in 2 years.
Yeah, and going back to when I brought up the WFA, I had talked to an owner of the WCD Dynamite a couple of weeks ago. She was one of my first guests. And me and her are Facebook friends until this very day still. And she and we talked about some valid points that we brought up as not only as owners but as players as well. And one of those stances is having to be the national anthem about what our stance is. Now I'm going to ask you the same question that I had asked Kurt, or what your stance on it is. Do you, as an owner, should make your players stand up for the flag, or do something you believe that should be the right thing to do?
The right thing everybody should do is stand for the national anthem, because we've had all these veterans from different race, different color, different backgrounds who put their life on the line for us.
Yes. Yeah.
And I understand what's happening in the world today, why people don't do what they do. But as an owner of a league, an owner of a team, I like to see my players not disrespect the flag that maybe one of the other opponents, fellow brothers or sisters, serviced in the armed forces. I have family in the armed forces.
And so do I. I have family and I have friends. But I also had friends who were in the armed forces who went to school with me.
Friends in the armed force. And I just think by kneeling is just the disrespect, slapping somebody's face who actually served their rights of this country to make sure that we have a great country to live in. But, I have other rights to do what the freedom of speech.
Yeah, and this, and it's a thing.
I believe that we'll enforce that players have to stand, or that players be suspended off the team. And, we have to show support. And I think there has to be a solidarity support throughout the league.
Yeah,
that teams stick together with this stuff. And I fully get the movement of the Black Lives Matters.
Yeah.
I fully get where people stand on the cops' beliefs. That's a whole different story. But I believe with kneeling at the flag is complete disrespect.
But here's I actually, when I talked to Thelma Banks, who's the owner of Derby City, there was a little perspective that she brought up that most people have forgotten. They weren't kneeling on the flag. That was what the protest was about. It never was about the flag. Even though the military fully supports kneeling in the first place, they knew it wasn't about the flag. Yeah. I have friends in the military who were also two to three people who also played semi-men's pro football. I have a friend, and and according to him, it's just the anthem itself that's been misinterpreted.
Yeah,
and the anthem.
I think there's a lot of miscommunication, and a lot of people don't understand the communication with things that's going on in the world. And not to bring up a political game, we got a big election coming up in like less than 3 weeks, and a lot of people don't understand the political rights of what these two guys are trying to battle and trying to fix this country. This country has to be fixed somewhere or somehow. I'm kind of
glad you brought up that point, because point number one, it comes to the mind, is how he's handling the COVID-19 situation. Like it's nothing to worry about. From my standpoint, many people are angry to tell it to the 200,000 people whose families was affected by it when they lost their loved ones. Even medical workers died from this.
Exactly.
But the way he's handling it, It's not correct at